Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is review number 835 with a review of Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm Christopher Schnese.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
And if you're joining us for the first time, the Spoiler Warning Podcast is a weekly film review program. Each week in the podcast, we're going to dive in, debate, discuss, and argue over the latest films coming to a theater near you. This week, Stephen is rejoining us from a galaxy far, far away. He was off in Cannes. He is now back. He was watching a bunch of prestigious films, really sitting there being highbrow over there. And now he's coming back to sit down and watch the latest entry in the Star Wars universe. I
think it still counts by sheer technicality.
Yeah, it is characters in the Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. I don't know that this film matters to anybody, financially or story-wise or to the fans. But we are talking about this film. Steven's super excited to be back. It was the first thing he saw when he landed back here stateside. And we are going to talk about it. Steven, how does it feel to be back?
It feels good. Yeah. Leading up to Cannes, I was dealing with some insomnia, and I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm going to fly halfway across the world. I'm going to have jet lag. I'm going to be in this intense schedule, and I'm already not sleeping. But something about how intense Cannes is, it's almost like working out, where by the end you're just spent. In the time since I've flown back from Cannes, I've slept like a baby every night. I feel like $1,000,000. I feel like nothing can hurt me now that I've survived a 1 week, 27 movie festival extravaganza.
Yeah. What kind of baby have you slept like, Steven?
I've been feeling a little Grogu in the mornings,
Yes, very
picking
nice.
up what you're laying down.
Before we get into talk about Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is such a mouthful, let's talk a little bit about your experience at Cannes. Do you want to talk about a few films that you saw there to get us started?
Yeah. So for the even fewer number of listeners who just listen to every episode back to back, the next few episodes I'll be sprinkling in some Cannes movies in these intros. So it'll be mostly chronological. But yeah, the first ones that I think make sense to talk about. First of all, my favorite film in competition, so really blown my load early in here, was also one of the very first movies I saw. And that was a little movie called All of a Sudden by Ryusuke Hamaguchi. You might remember him as the director of Drive My Car, which I liked very much. And also Evil Does Not Exist a year or two later, which I also was a big fan of. And the thing about All of a Sudden is there's no way that I can pitch it to anyone that will make it sound like something they want to watch. Because it is a 3 hour and 15-minute grand, I would say, philosophic, talky drama where the premise is there's a woman who is living in Paris, and she is running a care facility for elderly people who have, for lack of a better word, dementia. Like they're going through cognitive decline. And she has this theory about how even though they can't express themselves with words anymore, they still deserve to be communicated with and listened to. And that if you are very intent, you can figure out, you can form a real relationship and give them some autonomy. And then there's another woman who is a playwright who is putting on an experimental play around the thin line between sanity and madness, and also about communication and toying with different languages and people not being able to understand each other. Very much, for anyone who has seen Drive My Car, a continuation of the director. And the movie is really them coming together and having almost like Waking Life type series of conversations and beautiful wordless moments, and they ruminate about connection and humanity and about the drive of capitalism towards squeezing you into doing more and more and more, and how radical it could be to slow down time to a halt and just be with each other. It is a beautiful movie. I cried. Everyone around me cried. And it really, this was the movie I thought would win the Palme d'Or, and I was actually quite shocked that it went almost unrecognized. The actresses won awards in the end, but this movie really blew my mind. It's my favorite of everything that Ryosuke has done so far, and I'm very excited for it to come out, even though I have no idea how it will translate if you are not in like the groggy festival environment where a 3-hour, 15-minute opus about communicating across languages can play for you.
Well, you said you saw it first, right?
Yeah, it was the second day that I saw it.
Okay.
I was already tired, though, because I did not sleep the night before Cannes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and one fun thing is, so at Cannes, I've probably mentioned before, there is a second subtitle bar under the screen for English subtitles when you're watching a movie that is not in French or English. And this, I was at the Cineum, which is like off the main fair. This is the one that looks like a regular Cineplex, that if Chris were to ever come to Cannes, this is probably where you would want to do most of it. It's basically exactly like Scotiabank at TIFF, you know. It is where you can see things that run like a couple days after they premiered, which is why I was playing catch up here at the beginning. But anyway, an hour into the movie, the English subtitle projector started glitching out, where first it started to get blurry and then it started fading and then it disappeared for like 6 or 7 minutes of the movie, which was a nightmare because I was like, oh my God, I have 2 hours left in this movie and I don't understand it. But it was this weird experience where like characters are talking and I'm understanding the conversation, and then I'm understanding a little bit because the words are starting to become goop, and then I'm understanding nothing except the emotion of it. And then they fixed it and it came back. But if you've seen like Drive My Car, or this movie is very similar, it was weirdly fitting to the point where I almost wondered if it was intentional. It felt like kind of too fitting to be an accident, but no one else has mentioned this. So I think it was a mistake.
I know, based on your description of like your setup for the film, I was like, maybe, Steven, maybe.
Yeah, just like Megalopolis had a person come in front of the screen and start talking to you. This he set up that the projector would break. Yeah, it's like weird. Only people who speak English got it. Everyone else had no version of it. Anyway, another highlight, one of my absolute favorites that I saw the very first day when I arrived at Cannes was Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. This is Jane Schoenbrun's follow-up to I Saw the TV Glow, starring Hannah Einbender from Hacks. And I should know that. Is it Gillian Anderson or Gillian Anderson? You must have had a crush on her in the 90s.
It's Gillian Anderson, I think.
Gillian, okay. So Hannah Einbender plays a director who, after having like a big Sundance hit that people loved because it was taking the horror genre and deconstructing it, so very kind of semi-autobiographical to Jane Schoenbrun, Hannah's character is offered the keys to a franchise. This like slasher franchise that was a big deal in the 90s, was also wildly problematic, and has been a zombie for a long time. And basically she's the hot new director that people tap to be like, can you revitalize this for a new generation? And that franchise is set at a summer camp called Camp Miasma, where basically characters go and, you know, they meet, they hook up, and then a slasher creature from the lake comes and murders them. And to prepare for making the movie, Hannah, the director character, she goes to the actual location where Camp Miasma was filmed and meets with the reclusive final girl played by Gillian Anderson, who starred in the original movies. And she wants to tap her to be like, can you do a Jamie Lee Curtis thing and come back for this revival, you know, number 7 or 8 or whatever in the franchise. And this movie, it goes off the rails. It is wildly goofy. It is playing with the slasher genre, and it's an entry in the slasher genre. And Jane Schoenbrun is clearly making fun of themselves and their own reputation of like, what am I going to do now that I've made multiple acclaimed indie deconstructions of horror that are actually a metaphor for gender. And the result is just delightful. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. It is much more messy and intentionally silly than their previous films, but it also is like a damn good time and surprisingly moving. even though I've been told by the character not to mine it for like a metaphor for gender or make it quote elevated or whatever, the feeling is that this is about camp and the idea of like, look, if you don't feel totally yourself, maybe you have trauma, maybe the skin you were born into never quite fit, and you are used to this kind of like depersonalizing life where you see yourself in the third person, like you don't feel comfortable in yourself. Why not take that for a spin and turn it into a performance and just have a fucking great time orchestrating this new life where you are a character and you're playing a part and the world is a stage? And I think it is so much fun. It has a killer soundtrack. I just had a blast with this movie. I think people like me who adored I Saw the TV Glow, if they go in expecting another like weepy, heartfelt movie, they're going to be very disappointed because this is completely bonkers.
Yeah, the trailer was playing, as you were talking for me on IMDb, and it looks bonkers as hell.
It is bonkers, and it does not tie things neatly in a bow. It isn't something where at the end you're going to be like, oh my God, it's a metaphor. Like, no, this goes off the rails. But it is just so fun and inventive and violent and horny and self-referential, and I had such a good time with it. And then I guess the last one, first of all, I'll say Fatherland, the new Pavel Pawlikowski movie, is awesome. Black and white. If you liked Ida or a Civil War, is that what it was called? A Cold War, of course, from a few years ago. Check it out. Historical fiction, really, really, really beautiful, very stirring. But what I want to talk about is another failure of the festival, the first disappointment for me, which was Hirokazu Koreeda, a director that I love, you love. I'm sure we have wept at multiple of his movies, over time. But he can be a little sentimental, right? Like sometimes he's sentimental in a very good way, like Shoplifters or Monster. Sometimes he's sentimental in a way that is a little bit too much for me, like Broker. I think you were on board for, and for me, it like teetered a little bit too much into getting kids to say cute things without having any bearing on reality, but I always like him at least. His new movie, Sheep in the Box, is a sci-fi set in a near future where humanoid robots are being created to imitate lost loved ones. It's a very, I would say, familiar premise for sci-fi. Like, I can't name the movie that has done this exact thing before, but I'm 100% sure I've seen it. Where people are grieving and they find a way to replace their lost loved one.
Sort of like After Yang?
Sort of like, yeah, but After Yang is about a relationship with a robot, not like Yang being a stand-in for a real human being, I don't think.
All right.
Yeah. But here it's the premise is there's a couple who lost their 8-year-old son. And at first they're skeptical when they see an ad for this humanoid robot, but then they decide to give it a go. And they start to feel real things for this child who is also a robot. And they use it as an avenue for working out their unprocessed grief, apologizing, saying things that they couldn't have said directly because of the tragedy. And this sounds like it should be awesome, right? It should be like, I'm crying, you're crying, we're all having a very meaningful time. But it is so weirdly flat. Like, the characters aren't given any kind of depth. Monologues just happen with no real motivation for them to happen. There's like no feeling. There's no tears. There's very little emotion elicited in the audience. It was just a really kind of weirdly thin story, and I have no idea what Koreeda was going for, but unfortunately it was not successful.
All right. Well, those are some of the things you saw over at Cannes. Speaking of weirdly thin stories, Stephen.
Yep, featuring robotic children.
Should we get into a review of Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the trailer for Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and then come back and give everybody a review.
information.
Whoa. For this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters. War criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
All right. Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Basically, Mandalorian has to go on a fetch quest and participate in a really long episode of the show that Steven has not watched. Famously, Steven hasn't watched, I don't think, any of the Star Wars shows. Not even Andor, which I have
really want to watch Andor. I've been getting jazzed for it.
I've been trying to get Steven to watch Andor forever, but that's beyond the point. That's not part of this episode at all. One day he will watch it. But I haven't tried to get him to watch the Mandalorian show because he doesn't need to. It's okay. I enjoy the show for what it is.
Present tense? Huh? Like current, the last season you still enjoyed? Because I heard like everyone loved season 1 and then it started to like fall off.
I enjoy it for what it is what I said.
Okay.
I don't care about the show. I just enjoy it as a guilty pleasure. It's one of those shows where it's like I watch it, I don't hate my time with it, I just enjoy it. During the intro, I was holding up a little Grogu for Steven to look.
Adorable.
It's adorable as hell. I mean, it's just like it's a show where Pedro Pascal carries around a little cute little dude, and that's basically what the show is worth to me. I gave Steven an out. He didn't have to watch this film. I said we could watch Backrooms instead. But he already had his ticket. He was about to watch it anyways. It was too late. I couldn't save him. I was like, I've seen this film. For somebody who has not watched the show, there is absolutely nothing for you. For people who have watched the show, there's probably nothing for you as well. But Steven, as somebody who has not watched the show, what did you think of Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu?
So I found this bewildering. And I found it bewildering even after this. Usually I try not to read reviews or listen to things about a movie before I see it, not because I care about being unsullied, but because I want my opinion on the podcast at least to be my own. You know, like I don't want other people's thoughts to bleed into it. This movie, I had no intention of seeing it. Like the reason I caught it is at the last minute, I thought I was going to be dog sitting Friday night, and at the last minute, I learned I wasn't. And so I was like, wow, I'm free from 9 p.m. until the end of the night. Is something playing at Alamo downstairs? And that's why
I was supposed to have a little cute thing
exactly.
to watch.
I was supposed to have my own little Grogu. But so that's what happened is I was like, okay, wow, I thought I was going to have a dog here, but I don't. Is anything playing around 9 or 9:30? And Mandalorian was playing. And because of that, I listened to multiple podcasts ahead of time. So I knew I knew the drawbacks of this movie. I knew that it was going to be just like an episode of television. I knew that the stakes were going to be very low. I knew that there was going to be very little change in characters from where it started and where it ended. I knew all of this. I had heard people criticize it, and yet I still was not prepared for how nothing this movie felt to me. I mean, it isn't a movie. Like it doesn't feel like a movie in any way. I don't even know that it feels like a TV show. It feels weird. Like, and you're going to have to fill in some blanks for me. Like, not blanks about what happens in The Mandalorian, but more how a typical episode goes. Like, is the dialogue always this stilted? Like Mando just says things like he's Woody, and like someone pulled the string and he says there's a snake in my boot.
Yeah,
because I didn't hear any interactions that felt like characters communicating.
Yeah, I mean, Mando's definitely a guy of little words.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't talk that much. He's supposed to be a guy who kind of just shows up, doesn't talk a lot, and then, you know, does some stuff and then says this is the way, and then you know, solves.
And then Grogu, I guess, softens him a little. He's like the Western character, and now he's got a kid to take care of, and that makes him get a little bit more in touch with his feelings.
Yeah, it's a lone wolf and cubs story.
So,
and
in the show, does he say stay, heal, and treat Grogu like a dog?
I mean, pretty much.
Okay. Because
See, the thing is, originally Grogu was like super baby, and now he's sort of like a toddler who can run around on his own. Before, he was kind of just like, you got to pick him up and put him places. Now he can run around. And
so I'm wondering about his age, because he's like 100 canonically, right? So that means he ages very slow. But yet the show needs to find a way for him to mature little bits, right?
Yeah. See, I don't think we know his actual age. But when he was first there, he just like, he couldn't really do much, right? He kind of just sat there. But now he can like run around, get into trouble. He can clearly jump around and like pick up little droid bots with his little force powers and like try to steal food and stuff like that with his force powers, and just get into little like hijinks and stuff like that and push buttons on the ship. And like, he's basically like a little, he's kind of like a dog that can just get around and hit stuff with his tail, right? So now he can just get into more trouble than he could originally, when before he kind of just sat in his little cradle thing and just like, you had to protect him like Jason Statham would protect a little baby as he fights on a plane.
Right.
Like that's kind of how it was originally. Now it's like, oh shit, he's getting into his own hijinks, and also I am there. So
okay, I see. So I will say Baby Yoda innocent, right? Like, I understand why people like Grogu, even in this movie, which I think this movie looks like dog shit, by the way. Like, it looks very flat. It looks like it's filmed in the volume. It's so overlit. I enjoy the fact that Baby Yoda is made to look like a puppet, and it presumably is occasionally puppeted, but then also the CG makes his motions such that it looks tactile. Like, appreciate that. Cute Grogu doesn't feel fitting in the movie necessarily, in the sense that like there's all these cute asides and stuff, which makes sense as a TV show, but in a cinematic experience, the levels were off. But I liked him. I enjoyed looking at your little figurine of Grogu that you held up more having watched this movie than I would have before. Like, I have some fondness for the character. Everything else just doesn't exist. Like, Pedro Pascal, I assume, literally did one day of shoots or something for this movie. You know,
he might really love the character. He might always want to be there.
Maybe, yeah, because I know he's not the stunt double. Like, I think they give credit to the stunt double, so the guy in the suit is not him usually.
For all we know, this might be like a Marvel thing where he's never actually wearing the helmet. They're just CGing the helmet onto him. I know that's not the case, but
yeah,
it would be funny if he's just there in like a skin suit and they're just CGing on the armor.
He is such a non-entity, and like the movie doesn't want him to have anything interesting to grapple with. The mission is very simple. Like, this movie basically plays like there's a 30-minute episode of television, and then it ends. And the mission is basically over by then. But then they're like, well, we got to make it longer. So let's keep this party going a little longer. So they make another semi. So it's like the structure is just odd.
Would you be shocked to find out that like basically part of the arc of season 1 is take this package, which is Grogu, and deliver it to these people? And then he goes like, wait a second, they're probably going to do something bad with him. And then he changes his mind and then takes Grogu back with him. So he's supposed to deliver a green creature to somebody who he determines is bad and probably going to do something bad with him, and decides to change his mind and then travel back with the green person to go do something else.
Okay.
And then
I'm shocked.
Yeah. Are you shocked?
I mean, I don't know where they got the idea for this movie, considering it started so different. Yeah.
He literally goes to a room where an older aging actor gives him a job to deliver a green person to another group of people who turns out might be bad.
The other thing that I find strange is like, okay, sure, there's not going to be any character growth in this movie. It's a spectacle. It's meant for IMAX, blah, blah, blah. The action sequences, at least to me, were incredibly boring in this movie. Like every fight, it seems like it is taken for granted that Mando will win the fight, to the degree that you are not even meant to feel mid-fight like something exciting is happening. It's just like, here he is sleepwalking through winning every battle. Like I found it, even the opening of this movie, it opens with what I imagine is a more like traditional Mandalorian type of adventure, right? Like a little preview of a different one before he gets his next mission. And I thought it should be fun. On the page, it seemed like it would have been fun to watch, but I just felt so nothing watching the action of this movie. I want to know, is that true of the show now too? Because I know people loved in season 1, like how like entertaining it was.
I feel like you haven't watched any Star Wars, because like the Jedi, right, also just walk towards people and deflect everything with their blasters.
Yeah, it's just more boring to me when it's just a guy with a blaster. I don't know. There's something about it. Like the bad guys aren't scary at all. The big bad is just like a British man that you don't give a fuck about. Like,
again, have you not watched any Star Wars?
I mean, but a short British man.
Again, no Star Wars? I guess a lot of times it's a tall British man.
Yeah. You want an
maybe
ominous
it's
British
just
man.
Usually they're so skinny that they seem like they're really tall.
I just feel like the gap between a problem has been introduced and the problem has been solved is like 90 seconds in this show, like in this movie, in a way that makes it just flow very weirdly. And then to top it off, and then I'm done ranting, Jeremy Allen White as a buff Hutt boy who just goes like, I'm not my dad. Like, what the fuck is this movie doing?
Could I feed him? Don't worry, I'm not going to eat him.
No,
I just want to feed him.
Yeah, I'm not my dad. You can trust me. I'm not my, like, this whole movie feels like that. It's just like slow and boring and pitch shifted.
Here's the worst part about Buff Hutt. And this is the part that makes me the most angry about it, is minor spoilers for this film. Like, okay, I get the idea of Buff Hutt, right? You're like, okay, he just like, he's trained a lot and like, he's not like a fat slug Hutt. He's Buff Hutt. And you're like, okay, I get it. You've been like, you buffed Hutt. I get it, right? You just, you know, let's pretend you gave him super serum or whatever. He's Buff Hutt. The problem with this film is we see Buff Hutt fight Fat Hutt, and it seems like being Buff Hutt doesn't help you any against a Fat Hutt. It only helps you against regular people. And if being Fat Hutt also helps you against regular people, then what's the point of being buff? It seems like they thought of the idea of Buff Hutt, and then later on they're like, oh, but we got to have him fight regular Hutts. And then they were like, yeah, but it would suck if he just kicked their ass instantly. We got to have them have an even fight later.
I gotta be honest, I was so checked out of this movie. I was like falling asleep by the end because I just couldn't latch on to anything. I know he lunges at regular Hutt. In my memory, the fight is like 10 seconds, like any other fight in this movie.
It's a lot of like rolling on the ground. It's like it's like the fight that I got in when I was in middle school, where it's just like a lot of headlocks and rolling down a hill. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, those elementary school girls never should have picked a fight with you.
For the record, I did not get in a fight with girls.
Right.
It was a single. No, I was kidding. It was a fight with another boy. His name was also Christopher, by the way.
I mean, I'm going to tell you another thing that I don't know if this is damning about the world building or just damning about how little I cared about this movie. I could not tell you the parameters of how Buff Hutt moves himself. Like how he locomotes, what speed can he move, what are the limits of his ability to move. Like I've seen him fight where he just flops on things, you know, and I've seen him in automobiles, and then there's this like vast in between where I feel like I have no sense of what is he good for, you know.
Remember the scene in Disney's animated Robin Hood where the snake is inside a balloon and he just whips his tail around like a propeller? I think it's something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But yeah, this movie is just, it sucks. It sucks worse than I could have imagined. It sucks worse than any of the negative reviews had led me to believe. I just was shocked at how much of a non-event a Star Wars theatrical experience was. I mean,
and that's the thing is I tried to warn you, this is not a Star Wars. Like you said, this is terrible. How could anybody like make this and think it's supposed to be a blockbuster? And I was like, I can't express enough. This is not a blockbuster. It is, we're not going to give you money to continue making this show, but we will give you enough money to make something people will pay $25 a pop to see.
Yeah, it was still a $165 million budget. Like they still spent money on it.
Yeah, but that's because they were going to make it quote unquote for IMAX, and those things can sell for like $30 a ticket for the IMAX screenings, and then whatever it is for like the regular screenings too. And like this, like the show also, like the show was very, very monster or bad guy of the week sort of thing, where it's like, this is the situation. It's going to be resolved by the end of the episode. Sure, there's going to be like longer arcs and stuff like that, but it's kind of like, show up to a place. This is what's going to happen. Be done with it. And I think that like having a film that does that too, there's too much stuff that resolves too quickly. Like the idea that like, it's like, hey, I need you to go to do this thing. And he literally flies to a location and goes like, hey, what do you need me to do? And they're like, hey, go here and get our brother or our cousin or whatever it is. Actually, I don't even remember. They're like, go get the other Hutt. We need him back here. And then they're like, okay, cool. And then he just flies to the other location. He's like, hey, come with me. And he's like, well, I'm not my father. I want to stay here. He's like, okay, I guess I'll go over here and do this thing. And it's literally like, it's literally a fetch quest. It's like, hey, sure, I'll give you this, but you have to go over here and get this for me. And he's like, okay, I'll go over there. And he's like, sure, I'll give you this, but you have to go over here and get this for me. And it's just going around to do the jobs real quickly. And then the film's over. And it's like that works in the course of a 30-minute episode of a TV show where you're just gonna like, cool, just give me the next episode, I'm gonna binge this. But when it's stretched out to be a 2-hour and 12-minute movie or whatever the hell this was, I said that off the top of my head, it's exactly 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Wow. Impressive. I felt every one of those.
It just, this film doesn't do a lot. And it's like, there is stuff in there that feels like it should be impactful. Like I was kind of texting a little bit about certain things that like are theoretically supposed to be meaningful, but there isn't enough time spent to let you sit with them to have it have the weight that it should. There's like a rival bounty hunter that he encounters that is theoretically kind of cool. Like that guy is like, would be all right if there was like a whole 45-minute section of this film where like they are chasing each other from system to system, but that's not what it is. That person just shows up. He's like, oh God, somebody's here. And then that scene's done playing out. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, cool. We have that guy. thanks for introducing him and then having that be resolved instantly. And it's like there's no time to really settle with the stakes or anything interesting about this story. It's really just, hey, set up, this is the job. Let's do the job. Let's introduce that this character is not going to do it the way that these people want it to be done, which we already know. It doesn't really connect to anything big. I'm sure there's going to be a future movie where somebody's going to say, we got this piece of information from this guy from this movie that nobody watched or cared about. And nobody's going to think of that and go like, oh, I'm so glad I watched that movie that I hated because now I know that this piece of information came from this dude. It's just, this film feels like a waste. I walked out of that movie. I literally saw this. I had a flight back from a work trip. I literally had to kill like 12 hours before a flight. And I like did some work stuff. I drove to a theater that was literally like almost in a parking lot next to this airport. I watched this movie. Then I went to the airport and finished the rest of my wait. Then my plane was delayed by another 4 hours. And
the movie was still the most boring part of that day.
The movie was still, it was like I had my own fetch quest that I had to go on in the lead up to it. And it was like, you know what? It helped me kill 2 hours and 12 minutes of that 12-hour wait that I had to be able to board my plane flight that day. And I'm sure there was worse time I could have spent. If I had chosen this over other films that I could have seen, I would have been a little more disappointed. For me on that day, I didn't hate it. I more than happy to save people their time from watching it. You don't need to see this to connect to anything. There's no reason you should watch this. When it comes to Disney Plus, you can catch it then. Yeah, it's a bummer, but also I expected absolutely zero from the second the first trailer of this came. I kind of chuckled to myself. I'm like, really? They're gonna put this shit in IMAX? Like, there's nobody had any hope that this movie was gonna do anything. Yeah. So the fact that like it came out and we watched it and like we survived it is like a miracle.
I just want more. Like, we need a new hope, you know? Like, when are they going to make a Star Wars movie that people give a fuck about? Again, it's been so long and they've canceled so many things, and this is the one that they let slip through, and it is such a like non-entity. It just really makes me wonder what theatrical Star Wars is going to be. Or like when they're going to have the courage to actually do anything with the franchise.
But Steven, can you really complain that much when now we have Grogu Nilla Nummies?
You're right. I'm comfortably Nilla Nummy.
But no, I think Star Wars is in such a funky, weird place right now. Like the fact that we can have something like Andor be what Andor is like one of the best things that's been on TV, period. Like hands down. And they had to condense what would have been 3 final seasons into one season that was broken into like 3 sets of episode drops that were essentially 3 movies to finish out what would have been 3 season arcs in a way that was like, yeah, it was still brilliant, but like you can see what, like, imagine what you would have got if you could have had that be 3 seasons of show. But it was like people didn't want to do that for the rest of their life to make that show, even though it still would have been brilliant. It's still great in what we got, but it was like we got robbed of being able to have something that would have been great.
Why do you think they didn't try to go theatrical? Like, it was so well received.
I think it's I don't know that it was critically well received. I don't know that it was universally like 4 quadrant, you know, it wasn't Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but I would much rather have gone to the theater 3 times to watch the final season of Andor than to watch this thing.
Well,
but
you heard it here first, folks. Andor greater than the Mandalorian and Grogu.
hot take.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we're not here to litigate that.
Yep.
But yeah, anyways, the point I was making is like Star Wars is so fractured now. Like there's so many different things they announced, were canceled, put on ice, maybe are still happening. Who knows where things are going? Shows that came out that introduced really cool stuff. But the show was hated by people who watched it, so we'll never maybe get follow-up stuff to that stuff. Like I still think the main bad from the show The Acolyte was like one of the coolest things we've gotten in a really, really long time. And people hated that show so much that like we'll probably never get anything about that again. But yeah, I just being a Star Wars fan is weird right now.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you fly too close to the stars, I guess.
Well, I hope they pull through.
Yeah. Verdict, Steven?
Yeah. I'm going full must avoid. This is the least movie I have seen in a very long time. Like I'm very good at staying awake during movies. I've trained myself. I can survive torture. I can fly halfway across the world. I can watch multiple 2 to 3 hour movies with subtitles back to back on no sleep. I'm a fan of movies, and I struggled with this movie, with this supposed easy action, visually something movie. It just had nothing for me. I really could not believe how bad it was.
Oh man, I just realized there would have been a great moment where if at the end Rada did betray everybody and he just goes, "No, I am my father."
That would have been good.
Then it would be must see, just for the joke.
This is not even the best movie where Jeremy Allen White plays a sad son who, because of parental expectations, becomes a fighter in an arena.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But then that part where he locks himself in the fridge and he says the wrong thing, and then Mandalorian has to walk away.
Oh yeah, that was awkward. That was really sad.
Yeah, it was really bad. But anyways, my review. I'm just gonna go with pass with a caveat. I didn't hate it as much as Steven. But I still don't think there's a lot for anybody. No matter how much you like little baby Grogu or the Babu Fricks, or
the minion ass Babu Fricks. Like they did Babu Frick dirty, and I love Babu Frick in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, but I think that's going to do it for this review of Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Stephen Miller, if people want to find you throughout the week, where can they do that?
People can find me at Blue Sky at sdavidmiller, sdavidmiller.com, or you can find my can coverage at decodingeverything.com.
Can coverage! People can find me at christopherroulette.com or ChristopherRL on a number of social platforms. You can find the podcast over at thespoilerwarning.com, where you get a bunch of the back episodes of the show. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on Overcast, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are found. If you want to know when the episodes go live, you can follow us at twitter.com/spoilerwarning, facebook.com/thespoilerwarning, or instagram.com/thespoilerwarning. If you want to get a hold of us directly, you can send an email to fans@thespoilerwarning.com, or you can use the contact form on our site. Music for this episode will come from a track selected from artlist.io, so if you're enjoying that, we are now going to take off, and then we're going to come back. We're going to give you a review of I Love Boosters, so stay tuned for that. Later.